decided to actually show you a room that we have created in a rec room. By no means as good as some of the other rooms I've played, but without further ado, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of the game I just made. So right now it says I'm in the dorm. It's cool. 29. I bet you most of those visits were probably from me. So we are going to go up here to create a room. Show you around because it'll be private mode. So I want to actually go into some of the mechanics because I actually learned quite a bit just playing around with this, and hopefully I'll get a little bit better at it because this game is a lot of fun. I can make some better stuff. So if you have never actually tried to create anything on Rec Room before, so I'm playing on PC right now, and what I've actually learned is if you want to build like maps and things like that, PC is probably better. Otherwise, I think the VR headset is superior. Over here, I have like all of these different costumes. So these are all made by other people, which I have give them credit. How these are made is you actually start by spawning a dummy. So in order to do that, for computer use, hit M, and then you hit the right mouse button to open up your menu here. If you're playing on VR, you should have to just look at your wrist and you should be there. So from here, you're going to go to your palette and then you're going to go to search and you're going to type in dummy. And you're going to select either the costume dummy or the full body costume dummy. Now, what you'll do once you lay one of these dummies out, you will end up going to your tools, clicking edit. And see, now that I have edit selected, I can actually pick each individual part. So like if I wanted to add a little something to this chest here, I can do that using shapes. And what a lot of people sculpt with are either going to be your pots or your ribbons or your tubes under shapes. And so in order to get there, once again, you're going to go to your menu, you're going to go to your palette, and then here you go. It's very hard to do on PC. I don't know if maybe there's something I am just missing, but on VR it is far easier. You have a lot more control, and I would assume most of these outfits are probably made in VR. But looking at these, you can just kind of see the various shapes. But these are all free. Of course, the way Rec Room works is you have a limited amount of resources for each room. So what you are actually looking at is the ink. So I'll say I've used 57.95% of my ink here. And so because I spent so much of my resources on the gameplay and stuff in the arena, I really wasn't able to put costumes in there. And so the costumes and the vehicle and all this stuff, like everything's locked into your room. So this is the main room, and then you have sub-rooms. So to show you kind of what I'm talking about, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go to this room, we're going to go to settings, and then you can actually see sub-rooms here. Now I've also ended up making a key item, VIP. Basically this is exactly what you would think it would be. Later on, I plan on adding some more stuff to this game, and it's going to require the VIP membership. Now for me, I know that I get kind of annoyed having to spend tokens in rooms for anything that's like super vital for gameplay. So this would be more just stuff to kind of make the game maybe a little easier, a little more fun, maybe something funny that I can throw in there, just a little extra stuff. And I also made it very cheap. It's only 250 tokens. Over here on currencies, I've set up donations, and the way I've actually set up my donations is I have it where, of course, I'm telling them about our channel, if they would like to go sub and follow, and then I have the various packages, which right now, these are just donations. Once you have 250 donations, you can actually go get to the VIP membership. So if you're already donating tokens, like you're not going to have to buy that VIP membership. I have the VIP membership for sale for tokens. So this is kind of what we have. set up. And to kind of show you a little bit more about what I have going on here. So this is the spawn point. So what I do is I go and I connect it to when the player enters the room. And so in order to do that, you'll go here to palette, and you'll go here to search, and it should be, I think, player. So player event chip is what this is. And then what you'll do is you'll go to connect and see when player has joined. We're going to connect that to both set team and player here. That way, regardless, like they're going to spawn here, and the arrow is going to show the orientation. Now, this is actually a legacy spawn point, and the other thing I learned is legacy parts do not work with parts that are not legacy, and vice versa. So your input and output will not work if you're trying to cross legacy into something new. You can turn on the hierarchical alpha settings, which I have not, and that lets you get way more complex with circuits and things like that. So this is kind of how I set up a VIP button. So this right here is basically showing you like, so this is the player, and then this sets up basically the new role, the VIP role, and this is on a button press. This is a legacy button, so this is just when the button is pressed, it's going to activate that, but this button cannot, or this cannot be activated without first having the VIP. So whenever you're making the room, you obviously can't pay tokens yourself. That would be kind of redundant. So everything in the shop is free, which I am a Rec Room Plus member. So I have made some little shirts here. I'm sure a lot of people with the really fancy shirts use a tablet. I do have a tablet and a stylus because Rec Room is universal, so you can get it on either a tablet or your phone. So I would think probably using the tablet would make the most sense. However, I did not mess with it that much, but I still think these turned out pretty okay for just using a mouse. I'm definitely not an artist. I know they don't look great, but they are kind of neat. So you can pick up your arena shirt or your Deezus shirt. Now these require the cost of tokens. The cheapest you can sell a custom shirt for is 1,000 tokens, which I feel is kind of steep. I wish I could make these cheaper. Unfortunately, that is the cheapest that the game will actually let me make. Now, if you're in PC, use double tap spacebar and you can actually fly up. So looking over here, this right here is kind of the barrier. So if we have like AI, this is the barrier where AI can actually go to. These three buttons just are always in every room, and this is kind of like, this sets everyone's role and when you're in game and what happens when you're eliminated. So these are just things that cannot be done away with. These are basically telling the game like if this, if this, if that. So like elimination exists, the role of everyone exists, and the game starting, obviously exists. So all of this over here, I was originally trying to make this all just one big area, and I decided instead to break it down to sub-rooms. So now, without further ado, I am going to go, oh, and of course, if you haven't, you can obviously cheer, comment, subscribe, whatever. So I can go to these various rooms. So I can either go to the actual game, or I can go over here to the practice room. So I originally was going to have it to where you go into this room to get your weapons, and then I thought changing persist on would carry stuff over, and likewise with the costumes. However, subrooms are unique, and so you can't carry anything over. So again, a lot of these custom weapons I did not make. However, I understand how to make custom weapons. So if you want to make your own weapon where it has like its own damage and you can change the damage, you go over here to palette, and then you would click on gun handle. So you have to have the beta turned on, which you can do under settings, but you'll need a gun handle. You will need the grab, if I can spell. Or maybe it's not grab. Clamp. Yeah, you'll need clamp. I'm sorry. I want to call it grab. It's clamp. and then you'll want the projectile launcher. And if you aren't sure how to change on beta settings, you have to go to your room settings, and then you can turn on beta. You would not have to have alpha on to do this, but you have to have on beta. Now, if you go into the store and you end up just using somebody else's stuff, like this is kind of what you're gonna get. So like you have the clamp tool and then you have this decoration. So the sword itself, this is just decorative. So that cool energy sword or like this cool looking gun, it is all just decorative. Same way with this. So let me show you kind of what I mean by that. So if you look closely, you'll actually see look, there's a bow in there, just the standard bow. And then what someone has done is they've used shapes and whatnot to craft this design. And then they just use the clamp to basically clamp those things together, and the result is you can pick something up like so, and it moves around at the same time. Now, if you were to try to use the move tool to like, I don't know, move this for an example. So like say I try to like move this up, then whenever I go to grab this, you can see the sword is now jacked up. It's like broken. So you do not want to do that. But anyway, this is the practice range, and so I just have to where you can turn on the various AIs. You are actually here. So let's just try out some guns. Now this one particularly, he has fully edited whoever made this gun fully is customized it, and so it actually does insane. Like and this is becoming a massive big deal because I'm not going to say it, but this is just kind of try out the new guns. And I have some targets here. Kind of the meat and potatoes of the game. See if this loads up. I'll give you guys a tour. So I actually had everything neatly put on these shelves, but then just through the process of everything, stuff really got kind of messed up. So I just kind of threw the weapons in there. I wanted to get something up for people to play. It still functions the same. So here's the spawn point. You can kind of reset the room by going through these doors. These doors connect to the subrooms. In order to set those up to where they connect to your subrooms, you're going to go to configure, and then you can click here. And this is actually a actual room door, not a legacy one. So what you do is you type in the actual name of your room. For my game, it's DeesusTV _arena because it won't allow you to use spaces. And then this is, it'll actually, if you type it in here, it'll automatically generate what your subrooms are there. So in order to actually start the game, you have to have one of these. So this is a game state chip, and you have to actually have the set game chip. And so I have it linked here. So this is to start game, and this is to end game. So the start game is actually connected over here to the player area here. So this is actually a player goal. So there's like different goals, but this is a player objective, I think is what it's called. So if someone walks through this general area, it's going to automatically trigger that game. And this is kind of just a broad overview, of the map. Again, the mesh is kind of all over here. I have my mesh turned off because it makes a bright purple floor. So I know all of this looks kind of wild, but I'll quickly explain. Let me go over here to configure. So we have once the game starts, so here's another start chip. So once game starts, so this is different than that one. So that one sets for the trigger to start the game, and then once the game is started, then it goes over here, and this is a legacy spawner, and it's set up with one of your AIs, which you can change the color, you can change the damage, you can change all of that. So this is linked to basically summon this guy, and then once you kill all the spawns, then automatically summons that guy, summons that guy, summons that guy, all the way through until it's over. Ending with this guy right here, which is our boss, because I've colored him a cool color. And then I have some shield potions up here, which just increase your shield. We can kind of edit that later. And then these are your game rules. And so this is actually something I'm going to go into, because this is kind of how it actually works. So if you go here and apply game configurations, if you want to do something like I'm doing where you're finding a bunch of stuff, the recommended settings is quest, and then you can go here. What I normally do is I kind of leave this alone because I start mine with either they're going to have to go over something or they're going to have to hit a button. I normally turn the voice stuff off. I think the voice is annoying. You can actually put your own voice in there. I have not messed with it, but I plan to. The timing, I normally knock this down to 1 because I want my game to start immediately. Some people probably would like a little bit of a countdown. But what I was going to get at, so you have your teams and all of that good stuff. You want to start with no equipment, but with auto heal. So I've noticed if I don't have this on, oddly enough, stuff kind of dies. But I think that what the big issue was with me was I was having more than 10 AI at once, and the game does not want you to have more than 10 AI spawn. So if your stuff just seems to be dying or not spawning right, that could be it. And then because of, my sense of humor, if a person did end up traversing up this crazy little stepping deal here, there's a button that says, please no. And obviously people are going to press that, and then they're going to get completely annihilated by these bats, which is hilarious. And then we have this button here, which is just going to completely end the game. Again, it's connected to one of these chips. So you press this, it ends the game, and this is for basically the purpose of, so I have this that summons AI that are actually configured to be on your team. So if you're wondering how this works, I basically just had to set them to be on, here, wait, yes, so right here, so I just set them on to be for basically team 1. So whenever they spawn in, they're automatically set for team 1, and this is just in the circuits, so you can kind of see, so see player, team, and then we just change them to team 1, and then I make sure that everybody starts on team 1, and then when you press this button, it's going to summon them to help you. And so now, is the actual fun part, we are going to play this game. So I am going to grab a gun of some sort. Let's see what would be a fun gun. Go in here, game is going to start.
Game on!
You always drop your gun when the game starts. Here. We can actually hit this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times because there's typically only an enemy at a time. So now we have 9. I mostly did this because it's so that's pretty much my game YouTube. So come check it out if you play Rec Room. If you know how to actually make stuff in Rec Room or do Rec Room stuff, I would love to actually add you as an admin, even to where you can help me kind of figure out how to do more stuff. That would be greatly appreciated too, because I am definitely still quite the novice at it. But hopefully, my video was able to help some people, because I didn't know anything when I started, and so I think I at least figured out the basics. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.